Hi, and welcome back to Mental Health in the Sacred Sanctuary. I'm your host, Dr. Morgan, and we're back for another amazing episode. So I'm going to remind you now, grab your pen and your paper because you're really going to need it for this episode. I'm going to need you to walk with us, take some notes, and we have some exercises for you. All right, so welcome again. As you know, Mental Health in the Sacred Sanctuary is a sacred space of healing and wellness centered where God dwells. And where does God dwell? Right in the center of who we are. So welcome back, everyone. I hope you've had an amazing month since the last time we've been together. So tonight, we are going to journey through another dimension of self-care. You may recall we've covered 10 dimensions of self-care to this point, and tonight we're going to talk about spatial and intellectual self-care. I know. Let me make it a little easier for you. We're going to talk about inner circles and outer spaces, and we're going to talk more and develop what we are using for a definition around spatial and intellectual self-care and how that is applicable to our everyday lives. Just a note, we may talk about some things that are sensitive, so I just want you to do what you do what is necessary for you to do to take care of yourself. If you've got to step away, the great news is that this episode will be here. You can stop, pause, and come back whenever you are ready to do so. All right? All righty. So now I am going to share with you some amazing information because we have an extraordinary guest with us on tonight. You know, I love it when we have a really good guest, and we've got a really good guest on tonight. So we're going to be talking about, now write this down in your journal or your notebook, spatial and intellectual self-care. All right? Got it? Great. All righty. I have something new that I want to shift to for just a moment. It's my question of the day or question of the episode. So here it goes. How do we nurture our inner rooms so that we can show up in our outer spaces? I'm going to repeat it again a little later, but I just want you to hold room for that. How do we nurture our inner rooms so we can show up whole in our outer spaces? All right? So, before we jump in, we've been adding to our episodes a centering activity just to get us grounded and to help us posture ourselves for what we will receive. So, join me in this centering activity. So I invite you to either stand with me or sit, whatever you are comfortable with, as we do this centering exercise together. Very simple, won't take long at all. And so I'm just going to invite you to take a deep breath. Inhale, exhale. One more time. Inhale, exhale. Now I invite you to uplift your arms high to the sky as if you are reaching up to God. Still breathing. Inhale, exhale. Now I invite you to extend your arms as if you are reaching out to your neighbor, to your family, to connect with someone on your left and your right. Inhale, exhale. Now I invite you to bring your arms to the front, center point of your body, with your palms facing upward, as if you are ready to receive. And I invite you to continue breathing. Inhale, exhale. Now allow your arms to go down to your side. I invite you now to just bow your head. And begin to move your neck in a circular motion all the way around back to the center space. Take a pause here. Inhale. Exhale. Bow your head one more time. Go the opposite direction. Inhale. Exhale. Now I invite you to just put your hands across your heart. And if you're comfortable, repeat after me. I am amazing. I come from a people who are extraordinary. I am a part of a powerful culture. I am amazing. Bring your hands to the center in a prayerful position. I invite you to inhale again. Exhale. Release your arms. And that's the end of your centering activity. Again, you can do this standing, you can do this sitting, maybe in your car, you're on your way somewhere, you are anticipating some different energy and you just need a moment to recenter. Just remember those quick steps. Uplifted hands to God, outlifted hands to community, centered hands to receive. Thank you for participating. All right. You should feel better now. I hope you're in a great place. I didn't bring my tea today, but grab a cup of tea. I hope you're in a good space. You got your fuzzy slippers on and you're ready to go on this journey with us. Let me give you our grounding and connecting scripture as well, coming from the book of Ephesians. Ephesians chapter 3, 2 verses, 16 and 17. And I'm going to read this from the NIV version. It says, I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love. Again, that's Ephesians chapter 3, verses 16 and 17, with a real focus on that 16th verse, where we see Paul praying and encouraging the Ephesians as they navigate hard spaces of life and trying to fold in their faith. Focusing on that 16th verse, that Christ will strengthen us through his power and Spirit in our inner being. So as I've shared, we're going to talk about spatial and intellectual self-care, but I'm not going to do this alone. And so I am going to introduce to you my amazing guest on tonight in the person of Ms. Camilla Cryer. Welcome and thank you for being here, Sister Cryer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to call her Dr. Cryer. I'll probably interchange because she's almost there. She is on that doctoral journey.
Yes.
I'm excited for her, and so I'm going to already speak that into existence as she walks into her new purpose. Amen.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And so Dr. Cryer is with us tonight because, one, she is a board certified, national board certified licensed professional counselor. And she has a specific and unique experience when it comes to domestic violence survival, recovery, and thriving. And so I am just excited because some of what we're talking about today is going to touch on that trauma. And so she is really the best person for this conversation. She's also a member of our Beauty for Ashes ministry here at Alfred Street Baptist Church. And so I'm going to let her share a little bit about herself in this moment.
Okay. So I am a licensed professional counselor. I do telehealth services in a private practice. I also work part-time in a crisis stabilization unit with our local county and in Northern Virginia. And so alongside with that, I am a doctoral student. I am in the middle of my dissertation, so definitely an exciting time as far as a career is concerned. I am involved in different organizations as well. In addition to Beauty for Ashes ministry, I think it's a great opportunity. This is my first time being in a leadership position within this ministry. I am learning a lot along the way. I am also taking the advantage of the opportunity of learning how to lead. And for this unique ministry here at Alfred Street, I'm so happy that as a church that we are providing a safe place to be able to have a difficult conversation when it comes to domestic violence and sexual violence.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that we have this ministry here available for those who come into church who are dealing and struggling with that in their background. So.
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
Beauty for Ashes is the ministry that is front-facing for survivors and thrivers of domestic violence and sexual assault. If you feel that you would like to connect with them, please email them at beautyforashes, that's all one word, at alfredstreet.org. Alrighty, so we're going to jump into and dive right into our topic, but let me just go back for just a second and give you a reminder of the definition that we've been using for self-care. Alrighty, you may remember this on some of our other episodes, and if you haven't, please take a moment, set your reminder, go back and take a look at the topics we've already covered. We've already talked about emotional self-care, mental self-care, professional self-care, financial and cultural self-care. So go back and take a look at those episodes and our playlist on Alfred Street's YouTube page. So self-care, our definition, and you'll see it come up on your screen. Self-care is the intentional and committed practice of caring for one's physical, emotional, mental, financial, and spiritual well-being. And how do we do that? We do that through consistent habits that restore balance, reduce stress, and promote flourishing. Remember, self-care is not selfish, but it is a sustainable discipline that strengthens one's ability to live fully, serve others, and respond to life's challenges. And I love that last part because it reminds us that in order for us to show up for others, we've got to do self-care and show up for ourselves first. All right? So we've got to be able to live fully before we can serve others. All righty. Alrighty, so I share with you that I wanted to do something new with my question of the day or question of the episode. And again, my question is, how do we nurture our inner rooms so we can show up whole in our outer circles? Because our topic is talking about inner rooms and outer circles as we think about spatial and intellectual self-care. So as you ponder that question, Dr. Camilla and I are going to, I'm going to mess it up. So, but Dr. Camilla and I, we're going to start talking about what does this inner room space mean? What does that look like? And how are we using it in this way? Okay. So I'll start off. Okay. Inner room refers to the sacred space or your sacred internal space of peace and personal truth. right? That space that is your personal, sacred space of internal peace and truth. And we connect to that space multiple levels, right? On an emotional level, a physical level, and a spiritual level. So now that you're thinking about inner space, anything come to mind for you?
I like to use the metaphor of how protective we are of our personal space. Right? And so with that, what would you want allowed in that space versus what you will not permit in that space in order to feel comfortable and in order to feel safe?
Yeah. I hear people often refer to or use this phrase, it's the energy for me.
Okay.
Right? It's the energy for me. And so when I think about and I hear that, like there are certain energies, like I don't want that kind of energy.
That's right.
That negative energy, that doubting like I don't want that kind of energy in my space, in my personal space of truth and peace. So when we start thinking about that now has me wondering, like what causes clutter in that space? What causes clutter in that space?
I think that when you're going through a lot, in that moment, you don't realize because you kind of adapted and gotten accustomed to the chaos, so to speak.
Ooh.
Dysfunctional.
Yes.
Right? It becomes your new normal. And so when it's quiet, I think doing a lot of self-reflection and realizing, and so it really does come down to you have to know yourself. And I think in the chaos, it can be very difficult because of the distractions that are going on, to be able to recognize how bad the situation is. So there's a lot of assessment that would need to happen.
I would agree with you. And I think I'll add to that as we think about what clutters that inner space, traumas that we've endured. Right? Traumas, abuse. And forms of abuse, levels of stress that our body is taking on in a day. Like just think about the level of stress in a day, right? That we are trying to navigate through. I think I've already said something about the energy, but unwelcomed energy, people and places, right? These are things that can clutter this inner space that we are trying to create, or at least I hope that's the goal anyway, that we're trying to get to a place where we're creating this peaceful personal place of truth inwardly. But it can be interrupted or disconnected because of traumas, right? It's October, and in October we recognize a number of things. We recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In October we recognize breast cancer awareness. I see you got your pink ribbon on, right? These are things that can become traumatic experiences that disrupt our inner spaces.
Absolutely.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
So I think that along that you're looking at, it could be something that could be passed along from generation to generation too. So not only in that particular moment, you're looking at having to deal with what it was like growing up. So the childhood trauma. And then being an adult now and having to manage your own family, and then at the same time you're still wrestling with your own trauma.
Absolutely.
And that hasn't been healed yet. And so I think that it causes an interruption not just to you, but to your family system.
Indeed.
Yes.
And you're talking about like inherited traumas.
Yes.
Right. And inherited narratives. It may not necessarily have happened to you.
Yes.
Right. But because it happened to someone in your line, right, we're impacted by that. And so that's why we're talking about getting to a place where we understand, like, this is our space. This inner space is our personal space. And so that's where this spatial self-care comes into place, because you have a right to take care of that inner space, right? And so now that we know better, we want to do better.
Yes.
So that's why we're here,
Yes.
right? To shed some light and to bring some awareness, which you used already, right? So then that makes me think about, like, how does this clutter, what does it look like? How does it occur? So we've connected it with some things that make sense, right? Traumas, difficult diseases, diagnosis, things of that nature, inherited, stories and narratives. So the stress levels that happen in our professional lives, raising children, navigating relationships.
Exactly.
And so adding to that, as we start talking about our inner space, when our inner space is off, often it's connected to some negative self-talk.
Exactly.
Right? That automatic negative self-talk, because these things have happened to us. Now we have a narrative about how it has affected us, and now that narrative is a negative energy. Right?
Yes.
Well, I see your mind. I see your brain
I'm
thinking.
I'm listening.
Jump in.
I love that we're addressing the self-talking. One thing that I impress on is the importance of it does begin within you, right? And so, and how interconnected, how the way we think, the way we feel, and how we behave are interconnected with each other.
Absolutely.
And so if you are engaging with negative self-talk day in and day out, and knowing that was what was modeled while growing up, if your trauma began then, and having to relearn how to undo that. It's a process in itself.
It is a process, and that process begins, just as you shared earlier, with an awareness around, wait, what are you carrying? What is there?
Exactly.
What's coming up? And what keeps coming up consistently enough to say, something isn't right about this.
Okay.
I'm not feeling well. I can't really put my finger on it. It's not anything physical per se. Like, I didn't sprain my ankle, and I know I sprained my ankle, and so I can go to the doctor about a sprained ankle. But this is something on the inside that just, like, I don't have peace.
Exactly.
Right? That's going to be a breadcrumb as we become aware of what's happening in our bodies to signal, you might need to pay some attention here.
Exactly.
Right?
So recognizing where does it hurt?
Where does it hurt?
Right? And it can be in different parts. Some parts might hurt worse than others. But having that self-awareness, you're doing this ongoing body scan. Right? And so identifying those parts where it hurts the most, knowing your triggers. The moment that you see it or come in contact with it, maybe even hear about it.
Right.
Knowing your triggers and recognizing, okay, I know what bothers me. And so how do I respond differently to it? In a way that's healthy. And that's important. And having that, and it begins the healthy relationship with yourself is really doing the scan, the body scan, the assessing, the self-reflection, identification of triggers, and knowing that these are some of the ingredients that are needed in order to heal.
Yeah. I love how you are engaging our audience to think about and know, like think about and then become familiar with your triggers.
Yes.
That word is so popular these days. People, I mean, it's just so readily, I'm triggered, I'm triggered, I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Are you really triggered? Or something else going on? Because what we often dislike, we associate with a trigger.
Yes.
It could just be, you just dislike it. But a trigger is going to push you to a place that's outside of this, you know, going back to our definition around what this inner space is, outside of this peaceful, personal, truthful space. A trigger is going to push you outside of that, right? And it's going to reveal this inner and deep level hurt that's present. Can you talk about the body scan and what that looks like? And for those that you all are taking notes, here's a good place to make a note about the significance of body scanning.
I think, so how I try to frame it with my clients is realizing and getting attuned with when you maybe, for example, walk into a room, how does your body feel? And so if you find that maybe every time that you enter in a particular place, you have a headache, or you're nauseous, or your neck hurts, and you're not sure where it's coming from. And so being able to know that, or maybe associate those particular areas of your body, maybe that are more sensitive to certain situations and response, like maybe understanding that maybe that is a response to a particular situation, or maybe something in your environment. And so, I mean, our bodies are beautifully designed by God,
and they're powerful
to alert us.
To
alert us. And so I think just recognizing that that certain reactions within our body, and connecting it to a particular situation. I like to use the exercise. It's like a diagram of a body, and you're pointing out where it hurts. Where it hurts the most. And so it can be very difficult to kind of work through.
It can be.
And triggering, but I think that getting that sense of, okay, I recognize that this is where I'm most sensitive to, this is where I'm triggered the most. So knowing and understanding where it is and what you need, you can now work on responding differently. So that way, maybe when you go into a situation, or maybe around a certain person, or maybe alone and in your thoughts, that, okay, I know what I need to help me navigate that much differently and in a way that's healthy.
Indeed. That's great. That's great. And I hope and if you didn't catch it all, like, again, this episode will live here. So go back and make sure that you capture that, because that is a significant piece around healing. Healing this inner space, because what tends to happen when we have experienced trauma, when we navigate a space where negative self-talk is pretty prevalent, where we've been impacted by something, a difficult diagnosis, unfair treatment, right? Something that has now taken up space in our body causes us to shrink. It causes us to shrink, right? And we take less space, right? And we begin to internalize and hold on to that. And that is where anxiety and depression, that is where those things have something to grip onto, right? And begin to impact who we are, and take away our power of taking up space. We're supposed to take up space.
Exactly.
Right? Dr. Cryer, she already shared that, you know, we are powerful, we are beautifully made in our human form and in our bodies. Our bodies are meant to take up space.
But when you're dealing with hurt and a place
Yes.
of brokenness, you forget about
You
that.
forget about that, and you shrink in, right?
Yes, you become accustomed to the new normal.
That's right.
And so that shrunken person, that person that's hidden, tucked away in a corner,
Yeah.
not seen, not heard, you become accustomed to that person,
Yeah.
and you take on that identity.
Yeah.
You lose yourself.
We lose ourselves, and we forget about the amazing ways that God speaks to and about us.
Yes.
Right? We allow what others have now identified us, or maybe we have self-identified. That's where, you know, negative self-talk and negative self-neglect and things of that thing, and the lack of self-care comes into play, because we are now not believing and holding in and on to what God originally said, that we are created in God's image.
Mm-hmm.
Starting right from the beginning of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we were purposed and fashioned and formed on and for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so the healing is to get us back on the road, to get back in a place where we can understand and recognize that we deserve to take up space, that we can navigate a place of healing, and we can do this life. We can do life, even though we may have been injured along the way. We can heal from that and take up really good room. Taking up room for me speaks to purpose, like doing what God purposed me to do. It may mean something different to you. What about you? What does that mean to you, taking up room?
So I think that it's about reclaiming yourself.
Yeah.
How do I reclaim myself? What do I need to get my life back, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that was lost.
Yes.
You forget who you are. And so I think that it's a rebuilding, reconnecting. Sometimes you have to eliminate unhealthy things.
Yes.
And so it's a process that evolves. Sometimes it may involve having to take on a new, I like to call it a new identity.
Yeah.
I think we need to feel okay with not saying, you know what, not only reclaiming ourselves, but adopting a new identity. Sometimes you have to get rid of that entire whole old person, because maybe the trauma is so deeply embedded in that person that you have to kind of separate and take on maybe some things that are outside of your comfort zone.
That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with God, you know, he will use us in places and situations that may involve you being taken out of your comfort zone, what you're accustomed to. Maybe you're the introvert that's accustomed to being over here.
Right.
I'm a self-proclaimed introvert, and I'm proud of it.
Believe it or not,
okay?
Me too.
and so it takes a lot, you know, and so, but now being in a space that maybe you have to be uncomfortable in order to rebuild, you know, and so, and then be used. Maybe this can be an opportunity for you to inspire those behind you.
Indeed.
Maybe others in the family.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. And I love that from this perspective around, like, it's a journey back to our authentic selves.
Yeah.
Because there is, and I believe, and I believe this as a result of doing some work with internal family systems, that there is an authentic part of us that is untainted by all that we've experienced. It is who we are, and it flourishes deep within us. And there are times where we have to figure out, well, what's standing in the way of my authenticity, right? Is it the trauma? Is it the part of me that's been impacted so significantly by this trauma? Is it the part of me that is broken or feels like I'm broken or not enough because of something someone said to me or did to me when I was a child? There are parts of us that really want to take over, but we've got to kind of push those parts to the side.
Yes. Yeah.
So that we can get back to who we are at the core. Who are we authentically? And that is where our power is. So this is what we're talking about, kind of journeying through this idea of spatial self-care so that we can uncover what's there, so becoming aware, so that we can sit in and deal with whatever we have identified, and then move in a way where we can kind of unclutter this inner space so that we can onboard our peace,
Exactly.
right? Onboard our personal truth, and do that in a way that it speaks to who we are authentically.
Absolutely. I think that going through the whole process, and it can be scary.
It can be.
It can be overwhelming because maybe it's a lot to process.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yes.
It's a lot for us. And we're trying to simplify it for you, but it's a lot to navigate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somewhere tucked away in all of this clutter is your authentic self.
Absolutely.
But now you have to unpeel all those layers.
That's right.
It can take time, and I think allowing yourself the time to really unpeel. And I mean, it could take time.
It could take time because you're talking about creating a new normal.
Exactly.
Right? And uncovering your authentic self, which doesn't happen overnight, right? You didn't get to this place overnight.
No.
Right? And so let's use the example of trauma. You experience a significant trauma. Yes, the trauma happened, but the narrative, the behaviors, the thoughts, and what you speak, that happen over time, right? And often is, it comes with negative behavior, thoughts, and speech. And so that happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. And so the trauma occurs and everything connected to it builds and grows the same way with healing. The healing is going to take time because literally something internally has been broken. And it's going to take time, and it's not readily identifiable like a hurt ankle. My example with the hurt ankle, right? If I sprain my ankle, I know I sprained it, there's signs, it's swollen, I'm going to the doctor. It's a bit different when that's emotional hurt, emotional trauma. Because what you can't see is often, it is invisible to others, and it's difficult for us to explain.
Right. And I heard you mention about the narrative, the story.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remind the individual that it's also changing the narrative.
Yeah.
This reclaiming is also changing the outcome. And so maybe in the context of generational trauma, this was the narrative that was passed on from one generation to the next.
Yeah.
But this generation is where it stops.
Right.
So being the person that acknowledges that enough is enough, I want to change so that I don't pass this on to my children, and my children doesn't pass it on to. So just standing up, and it's empowering in itself.
It's very empowering.
And changing the feeling empowered enough to change the story.
Yeah.
And so I think that it helps you to unpeel the clutter. And just by changing how and just reminding yourself, like the outcome doesn't have to be
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah. The outcome doesn't have to be this way. Write that down.
Yeah.
The outcome doesn't have to be this way. You can empower yourself
Exactly.
to take up space
Yeah.
and do the thing that you've been purposed to do. And I know we grapple with, oh God, what am I here for? What is my purpose?
Yeah.
But it is that thing that won't let you rest.
Exactly.
It's that thing that you just have to do. Maybe you are a person that loves to help people. You just can't help yourself. That's what your purpose is, to find something that connects you to doing the thing that brings you joy, right? And ultimately gets you paid, right? But more importantly than that, it allows you to operate in that space that God has carved out just for you. You deserve to take up space.
Right. And I think it comes from a place of self-love too.
Yeah.
Reclaiming that I deserve to be loved.
Yeah. Every
And-
time you say reclaiming, I get a flashback of Maxine Waters when she hit the button and said, wait a minute, I'm reclaiming my time. Do you remember when she did that a few years ago?
Yes.
The internet went crazy because we were able to embrace in that moment this idea of reclamation. What would that look like? What would that look like if we embraced reclamation? I deserve to reclaim what's mine.
I think we got to start falling back in love with ourselves again, identifying that, changing the way we talk to ourselves. Sometimes we are more harsh on ourselves than the people around us.
Yes. Our outer critic and our inner critic, they get together and they do a number on us.
And where's that coming from?
Yeah.
Where did we learn that? And so I think being more gentle and kind to ourselves, setting up the space, resetting our personal space so that we can be more gentle and more kind to ourselves. Taking time out each day for quiet moments. So we've been talking a lot about self-care.
Yes.
Really be intentional with your self-care. It doesn't necessarily have to be going and getting a massage or going and getting your nails done and this and that. While that's great, but I think now broadening what you need to love yourself. Right? And so that you can be in a position to love someone else.
Yeah. And before we get to loving someone else, when we learn to love ourselves, that is symbolic of taking our power back.
Exactly.
Right? Especially in traumatic instances where someone has removed that power from us by doing or violating us in a way that we didn't give permission. So when I decide that I'm worthy enough, I am no longer a victim of this violation. I am taking my power back. I am learning how to love me. I am onboarding self-care at whatever cost. And remember, self-care should be a range from 0 to whatever extravagant, indulgent thing you can afford to do. But at the core, self-care shouldn't cost you a dime. Right? Because self-love is free. We just have to do it. But we've got to convince our mind and come into agreement in our spirit that we're worth it.
Exactly. So definitely changing your narrative when it comes to how you identify yourself.
Yes.
What you say to yourself.
Yes.
And I know that looking in the mirror, it's very revealing. You can't hide anything. But being able to look at yourself in the mirror and change what you see. Right?
That's power.
Absolutely. And it's definite, and it's growth. Change what you see in the mirror, the person that you see, the authentic person. And so I think that not only changing your self-talk, but also what do I need to feel safe in my personal space that I am so protective over while you are working on rebuilding, right?
Yeah.
So you may have identified, some particular rules as far as boundaries are concerned.
Yes.
Know that you can establish new boundaries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's a must, because I think that while you're going through and experiencing abuse, those boundaries there were no boundaries.
That's right. There were no boundaries.
And if there was, it wasn't respected. Your
Correct.
space was not respected.
Exactly.
And so I think it's important to just really go through the steps of identifying what new boundaries I'm going to identify in my space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And communicate that.
Yeah. I'm glad that you landed in that space as we kind of wrap up. And I know this piece was so
Yeah.
It was so much, so juicy. So I hope that you all are staying with us as we navigated understanding what spatial self-care looks like. But adding to that, where you landed, just these recommendations on how to do it, because that's often the question. How do I'm aware, now what? How do I do this? And so some of the things that you've shared, I'll reiterate here. You may have to look at how you establish boundaries.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Perhaps you weren't able to establish, and those boundaries were not respected in a former, but this is the new, right? This is the new you, right? And the new you has a requirement that boundaries will be respected, right?
Okay.
You get to control who enters and exits your space. And that's important, because if it's about the energy, then the wrong energy should not be in your space, right? Someone constantly reminding you of where you've come from and what happened to you may not be beneficial for where you are in the journey, the leg of the journey that you're on at the moment, right? You get to create that space. Maybe it's something more intimate where you learn how to create this space in your home, right?
That's correct.
Finding a place where you can have the lighting a certain way, where you can put your reflective music on, where you can take time to journal and meditate and pray, because that is what refills you from the inside, so that you can then show up on the outside. And integrating your relationship with God is an important piece. That's why I highlighted Ephesians chapter 3, because Paul, though not with the church of Ephesians, he realized and got word that they were struggling a little bit, and they're like, Lord, we don't have a leader. Jesus ain't came back yet. What is happening? Life is happening, and we don't know what to do. And so he was encouraging them and reminding them that their belief, their relationship with Jesus Christ, is what was going to give them the strength on the inside, even though they were facing so much on the outside. So I just wanted to make sure that we added those tools in this place. Did you have some more or something else you wanted to tag to that?
I think to piggyback off of that, I think not only in the home, but also making sure that within your home, is there something here that is unhealthy or triggering to me?
Yeah.
Is there something that is connected to maybe the hurt?
Right.
Sometimes folks will hold on to
That's
things.
Right. That's right.
And it stunts or keeps them stuck.
Yeah. You don't need to have all those old pictures on the wall if the person that violated you is in the pictures.
Exactly.
Just because it's your grandmother's house and that's how grandma did it.
Yes.
You don't need to have all of those picture frames hanging on your wall.
Exactly.
Take them down.
Exactly.
Right?
The clothes,
Yeah.
and maybe some of the other things, if there's too much,
Yeah.
right? And you want your house or your home, maybe the position of the chairs,
Yeah.
or the couch, maybe a certain room is more difficult to go into than others, because this is where this major incident happen.
Yeah.
So how do I maybe reconfigure
Absolutely.
things? What do I need to eliminate? Maybe getting rid of the furniture and just bringing new furniture,
Something
if that's
new.
possible.
Maybe allowing it to be empty for a moment.
And that
while
too.
you're processing through this and being able to use that space just like that, right, to help cultivate your healing.
And renaming and when you spoke
Yeah.
about a corner for prayer, maybe the corner of the house that was once represented something ugly.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can now rename this space
Yeah.
as my space where I will come to pray.
Yeah. Rename and repurpose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Alrighty. So I hope that you're doing well. I'm going to invite you to take a breath. We're almost done, but think about this reflective question for just a moment before we shift a little bit.
Okay.
What would it look like? And this is right on par. What would it look like to redesign or design a space, physical or emotional, where your soul can exhale? What would that look like? What would it look like if you reclaim minutes in your day to get up from your desk and go outside and just breathe?
One thing I pride myself in doing, I remember hearing in church before about how you start your day.
Yeah.
And so it was a change, it was a new behavior for me. I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
And so getting up and being intentional and setting aside time in the morning sets the stage for what may come my way.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of rushing out and the house and rushing out in traffic to get to work and everything, doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah.
And so part of reclaiming that is, as far as my time in the day, is how I start my day in prayer.
Yeah.
And meditating and sitting in quiet and allow myself to transition into getting ready for the day.
Yeah.
And so that truly made a difference as far as maybe how I responded to things. Instead of it happening one way, I reframed how I can now respond differently because I was intentional in how I started out my day.
Yeah, therefore taking your power back.
Exactly. I don't have to respond this way. I can now respond differently because I prayed this morning, or I heard my favorite song this morning, and the words were exactly what I needed to hear in this moment, and it stuck with me for the rest of the day.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that place of authenticity as well, right? When we slow down and connect with, right? Don't just run on the old fumes.
Yeah.
Slow down and connect with what you need for the moment.
So
I love that.
Definitely. So speaking along of being kind and self-care.
Yeah.
Those are the things that, what are some other things that you can do to be kind to yourself? Take a walk, take a break. And what would that, get some air. Get some fresh air.
That's
even if
right.
It's cold outside.
Sunny outside, vitamin D. Listen, it's free.
Get away from all the noise.
Yes.
Sometimes you need to be by yourself so that you can regroup.
Yeah. And if you notice that you're uncomfortable doing these things, that's a really great place to slow down the pace and ask yourself some questions around, well, what happened to me? Not what's wrong with me. Let me be clear. What happened to me? Right? What happened to me that causes me to show up this way? Why is it difficult for me to self-love, self-care, to do some of these tools and tips that the ladies are talking about? That's a good place to start.
Making sure that you identify your whys. Okay, why am I responding this way?
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this way? Or why does my body react this way? And certain situation, and being able to kind of connect, make connections to certain things, and knowing that, you know, I can respond differently moving forward.
I can respond differently moving forward.
Yes. And so what are some things intentionally that I can do to help me maybe get unstuck from this? I'm going to have to learn a new behavior.
That's right.
You know, what I have become accustomed to is not working for me, because maybe it's not healthy for me.
Right.
And never was. And so recognizing that I now have to start adopting a new way of how I talk to myself.
Yeah. And that's back to that inner space of personal truth.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's a sacred space, and being able to acknowledge what your truth is also a part of the empowerment journey.
Exactly. So healthy, what else would I need to do that would be healthy? And I think that's an important key.
Indeed.
Is that you don't want to go into this new version or better version of yourself, and you're still carrying along the unhealthy behaviors.
Yes, that's right.
And so and it can be a process, because I have to relearn and skill build in some areas, because maybe that's all I knew. So it may, and I also like to recommend books to my clients, to give them some ideas, some handouts on how to establish boundaries, for example, or how to be intentional in when you are selecting relationships, including the people around you, whether it's a partner, whether it's a friend, whether it's even in the family. You know.
I love that you shared that. And if you are at this point with us and feel like maybe I need some of those resources, please feel free to reach out to us at Pastoral Counseling. That's all one word. Everything is all one word. Pastoral Counseling at alfredstreet.org, and we'll be happy to help you and get you the information and resources that you need. So we're going to shift a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you so much. The information that you are sharing and that we are able to converse with in this discussion has been rich for me, and I pray that it is rich for our viewers on tonight. So we have two dimensions that we're covering in this, and then we're going to get out of here and let you get back to your evening. So our first was talking about spatial self-care, and being able to take up room as we do our healing work. And now we're going to just shift a bit and connect, I hope, intellectual self-care.
Okay.
And so intellectual self-care deals with the actions and behaviors that we engage our minds in to help give us life-giving thoughts, right? So what we think, and you shared this earlier, right? What we think comes out in our behaviors, our actions, and our words. And so what we ingest, right? So what we take in our mind is certainly going to impact that process. And so if we are able to then intellectually take care of ourselves or navigate this space of intellectual self-care, then we're able to, as you've shared, again, we're able to then empower ourselves to change the narrative.
Exactly.
Right? We are able to change the narrative, and then kind of take away the negative and reframe the negative, actually, and make a more meaningful connection with the reality of our lives.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All righty. And so this is going to require us to examine what we take in. So I love that you shared a moment ago that you often give your clients references to books and things that they can read, because that's tapping into the intellectual self-care part and piece of this work. That then helps us to set boundaries that protect us and that actively build positive relationships that pushes us in a way that will uplift us instead of depleting us.
Exactly.
Because that's the goal.
Exactly.
We've been depleted. We've been depleted spatially, we've been depleted intellectually by all the things we're navigating in our lives, and we're the only one that's going to be able to onboard the self-care that we need in these areas.
And so, and speaking of goals, I think that it's important to identify what's my goal, right? It gives you a frame, it gives you a focus. So I know a lot of folks like to do the New Year's resolutions, but I changed that dialogue.
I have too.
Yeah, and so I think that having a goal, identifying what's my goal for this year, and it should be building. And that's something I practice on myself, is like, what am I working on this year? So I can build on what I accomplished last year. Each year it should be progressive.
It's a really good word, progressive.
There should be a progression in your goals. And so identifying will give you a frame for yourself. And so I think that goals in particular can be something that you have not only for the year, but for the month or for the week, or maybe even getting through the day.
One moment at a time.
Getting through today, maybe. Can be okay. What's my goal? What do I need to get through this day? And coming up with maybe a few tools or strategies. And so I think that identifying coping strategies that work best for you in your toolbox. And knowing that those coping tools are going to change. It's not going to be the same.
That's right.
And maybe what you need to help you get through this year, or maybe today, might not be applicable in maybe a different situation. So I think that being open to trying different things when one approach does not work.
That's really good. That's really good. And I'll add to that the process of reframing. We've talked about it and we've used it in context, in conversation, but I'd like to just build it out just a bit in context as we talk about intellectual self-care, because part of us in this, like before we before we knew to do something different, we might have this question often, like, why did this happen to me? Why me? Why did this happen to me? But as a tool, using the tool of reframing, instead of constantly sitting with why did this happen to me, perhaps a reframe might be what is being strengthened in me, right? So imagine if you were able to shift, right? So now you've got some coping skills that Dr. Camilla has shared, and now you've got this reframing technique. You catch yourself, you say, oh wait, I'm doing the thing again, I'm doing the why me again, so let me reframe that. How did this strengthen me? How did this make me better? What have I learned? How am I stronger? Right? And I'm just kind of flowing off of just thinking, like, I want to reframe this in a different way. I want to use my power to reframe and change that narrative. That's another tool that we can add to our toolbox, right?
One powerful tool I like in the context of that is when you're doing self-reflection, when you journal. Be intentional with, jotting down what you're thinking about in this particular moment, and let it sit there. And then come back to that later. A month later. Or two later. I think that it serves as a powerful self-reflection tool. It sets the platform when kind of like your emotional dust is settled, that you're going to look at what you wrote down much differently than in that moment when your emotions were heightened.
I have a journal prompt for that. And so take notes. Take notes for this part in particular, right? Who in my life helps me heal? Who helps me heal? Versus identifying and connecting with who hurt you. So now, who helps me heal? And that's a question that you can go back to over and over again as you begin to change and shift and empower yourself and take your power back. Because likely what's going to happen as you shift your energy, the people you connect to are going to change as well.
And that's difficult for some.
It is.
It's very difficult because it could be someone in your inner circle, as we talked about in the beginning, someone that you have maybe been most vulnerable to.
Yeah.
And so having to let that go, it's a process in itself. And so, but if that relationship is unhealthy, and if it's about reclaiming your space, there's some things that you may have to let go, and that may include an unhealthy relationship.
That's right. If healing is going to happen,
if you're going to be able to heal.
That's right.
Yeah. So
I know this episode is running just a smidge longer than normal, but I ask that you bear with us. If not, take a break, come back to it, and pick up where you left off. All right, we're almost done. We're rounding to the closing, but we just want to make sure that we give you some really viable tools and tips as you walk away from this space.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes, sorry about that.
Oh no, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. So and so along the lines of just taking care of yourself and unlearning and self-reflection, I think along the way you're going to learn a lot more about yourself.
Indeed.
Maybe rediscovering some things that you used to enjoy.
Yeah, it's like a new relationship. You're falling in love with you all over again.
And some things that maybe you have discovered that you like that you didn't know before, because maybe during that time it wasn't something that it wasn't an opportunity for you that presented itself. And so I think that just going through this whole process of making new connections, and eliminating connections that are not healthy, will allow the process of evolution and self-discovery.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, and being open to learning and trying something new.
Exactly.
Right? Pushing our intellectual self-care to the next level. Don't just hear it. We don't want to be just hearers, but we want to be doers, right? The Bible reminds us of that. We don't want to just be hearers of the word, but we want to be doers of the word. So what you're hearing, if you're really serious about healing, then we invite you on this journey. Yeah.
I think being patient with yourself too.
Yeah.
Be patient with yourself. I know what comes up a lot in therapy is the process of forgiving, and I think one of the most difficult things or components is self-forgiveness. Forgiving myself, because you're working through self-blame.
There's so many levels, like you said, right? The peel, it feels like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to get to that space of healing? You will, but you've got to keep going, right?
But reframing it to as much positive language as possible. What are some affirmations that you can say to yourself? Each day. Some folks begin their day with an affirmation. One thing in my workplace is that we start off the day with a positive affirmation.
That's awesome.
So we're teaching you that skill, so that you can practice that on your own, adopting that for yourself. Yes.
And with that in mind, I'll leave you with this meditation as we shift a bit. Lord, strengthen us in our inner being. so that your love may overflow in every space we touch. Right? And so if that were your meditation, if you adopt that as your meditation for the next few days, just asking God to strengthen you inwardly so that your love, right, a reflection of you authentically flows out from you in every space that you touch. I wonder what shifts and transitions that would cause you to make if you would take a moment and just begin to focus on that, commit to focusing on that for the next few days.
Wow. I think developing a new routine.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's adopting a new routine.
Yeah.
Maybe there wasn't structure.
Yeah.
Maybe that because there was so much dysfunction that occurred over the course of the day.
Yeah.
Being able to get structure, it allows you to have predictability.
Yeah.
It'll lower your anxiety or fear,
Yeah.
because you know what to expect.
Yeah. 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 And so as you can tell, it's an ongoing, and you used the perfect word earlier, progressive work. This work of clearing our inner rooms and cultivating our outer circles.
Okay.
It's a progressive work, and it's something that we're going to have to do every day. We're going to have to do a little bit every day, because when our inner rooms are restored, our outer circles reflect that we're whole.
Yes.
And that we're healed, or healing, because healing really is an ongoing work. So I don't want you to get discouraged in the journey. I hope that you will take the plethora of tools and tips offered in this episode from Dr. Camilla and myself as you think about, like, how do I move in a space where I can increase and incorporate spatial self-care and intellectual self-care. How can I take up more space, and what can I take in intellectually to help me do that in a way where I can see the progress and the purpose of my life. So what's one thing as we move from this moment that you commit to doing? And I want you to make that personal. Write it in your book, your journal, whatever you're using. What's one commitment you can make that will allow you to take the first step forward in cultivating this new space? Because it's okay to do, right, as you shared, it's okay to start something new.
Right.
It's okay to onboard a new routine for the betterment of ourselves. And so with that, I'll ask you to have any final comments or concerns or remarks that you would like, and then we'll close our session with some resources and prayer.
I definitely think it's important to make sure that if you remember nothing from this or anything from this, is making sure that you are reclaiming your space. What do I need in this space to feel safe?
Yes.
What self-care strategies do I need to identify? So what are triggering to me? How does my body respond around certain people, around certain situations? So making sure that you are intentional with the relationships that you surround yourself by, and even the relationship that you have with yourself, making sure that you are deserving of you being who you are, and you are deserving of having your best version of yourself. Right?
Yes.
And so with that, make sure that you are healthy and kind to yourself, and surround yourself with healthy relationships and people who are going to look out for you and make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And helping you, and that's most important, helping you to be the best version of yourself.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. So in summary, just a reminder, cultivate stillness and faith.
Okay.
Right? Your spatial self-care is helping you to look at, how do I build supportive environments, right, that will nurture my internal self. Your intellectual self-care focus is to help you renew your mind, right, and guard your circle.
Exactly.
Right? And when you do that, you are protecting yourself, because boundaries are to protect you. And you are able to take the power back so that you can heal. We've talked about domestic violence, breast cancer awareness, and so I just want to share some resources with our viewers in that regard. And so if you are navigating a space with breast cancer, as this is the awareness month for it, please know that the American Cancer Society is a resource, and you can reach them by dialing 800-227-2345. Alfred Street also has a cancer awareness ministry, so please check out our website and you can get more information on that. In addition to that, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as a resource, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, that number is 1-800-799-SAFE, and that's 7233. Alfred Street also has a ministry, Beauty for Ashes, that can help support, and they meet on a regular basis. So please feel free to connect by emailing them at beautyforashes@alfredstreet.org. And finally, if you are navigating a space where you're thinking about suicide, feeling as if life would be better if you ended it, there is support and resource. Your life really is worth it, but being able to work with and walk with someone may be just the thing that you need. Then please know that 988 is a 24/7 resource that's going to get you directly to the national Lifeline number, and you are able to reach someone and begin that conversation to help you on the next leg of your journey. Excuse me. Dr. Camilla, it has been a joy to be in conversation with you today.
Thank you.
This has been, actually, it's beyond what I could have asked for, and I thank you for your time and the wealth of knowledge that you've added to this space. And I'm sure our viewers will share that information in the chat. Thank you again for being here with me on Mental Health in the Sacred Sanctuary. And I ask now that you will collect your thoughts, your prayer requests, supplications, as we close this episode in prayer. May the Spirit of the living God strengthen you in your inner being. May the love that God has and gives so freely to us dwell richly in your heart, and may every space that you inhabit become a reflection of God's healing presence. May you overcome any difficulty that your mind sets up, any imagination, any stronghold, because the power of God dwells richly in you to help you move to a place of freedom and healing. May the Lord, who is strong and able, heal you in every space that hurts. That is my prayer, that you will experience this life and the goodness of God in this life. Just taking a breath, acknowledging this space, and giving thanks to God for our time. May you be blessed until we meet again. Good night.